Welcome to Face the Facts on location here in North Reading. I am Nick Face, joined with my wonderful cast.
Hello, I'm Kevin Vent.
Joe Papalardo.
And John Maroney.
We can hand off the mic too. I guess that works fine too. But anyways, I want to welcome you all here to a wonderful business that's here. It's Fit Revolution. This is where Sports Zone's held. These are some of our workers over here. And basically what we do here is we enable the kids to play for the most part. And this is our location that we hold a lot of different things upcoming. We have February vacation, we have birthday parties, and all sorts of neat things. So if you're interested, this is our home. But we're not here to talk just about that. This is Super Bowl week. We're all excited about that. And we have the Patriots and the Seahawks in this upcoming Super Bowl. I want to go quickly down the line here and just expectations and basically how you're feeling towards the Super Bowl leading up on Sunday.
Well, we said we weren't going to talk about Deflategate, but I'm actually going to start with that. I have to admit that I'm a little deflated by the Super Bowl because of what's been going on. I'm someone who values integrity, and if it comes out that the Patriots really did cheat, it's going to take a little bit away from me. Having said that, I am excited about the Patriots being in the Super Bowl. I have the sense that this might be Brady's last shot, and I'd love to see him get a fourth Super Bowl win. And so I'm really looking forward to kind of the chess match between Bill Belichick and Pete Carroll. That's kind of what I'm looking for.
King versus Queen? Who's the Queen?
I'm not going to call Pete Carroll a queen. I don't know. What are you guys looking for?
I'm looking for a solid matchup. I kind of expect the Patriots to kind of come out and actually catch the Seahawks by surprise, maybe catch out to a quick lead, but I expect it to be a good game. I expect there to be matchups. We'll win some, we'll lose some, but I expect it to be a good game, and I'm thinking Brady's going to get his fourth.
I'm expecting a Patriots blowout. All this media leading up, Bill Belichick's been planning something, and he's just they're gonna come out and catch everyone by surprise, including the fans.
I think you're right about Bill Belichick using all the media crap as bulletin board material and that kind of thing. I do expect the Patriots to have a real chip on their shoulder coming out. The question is the Seahawks are a tough team. There's no doubt about that. They're the defending champs, and they just got a solid defense, and you got to think they're going to come out with something different to show the Patriots. Having said that, there's no team in the NFL that's better at mid-game adjustments than the Patriots. And so if something isn't working in the first half or in the first quarter, they're going to change it up in the second half or the second quarter or what have you.
Well, there's a lot of hype with a lot of different things going on. You mentioned the Pete Carroll, Bill Belichick relationship there. But both teams, are they the best of the best that we've seen here in this NFL season?
Oh, I think they're absolutely the two best teams of the NFL this season. I think that was proved 2 weeks ago when particularly the Patriots completely blew out the Indianapolis Colts, and they really showed that they were the class of the NFL. I really thought after the Green Bay game that Green Bay and New England was the class of the league, but the Seahawks really poured it on in the second half of the season, and of course with Aaron Rodgers' injury, it kind of took Green Bay out of it. So I really think they're the class of the NFL at this point.
Yeah, it's obvious. One seed in the Super Bowl. They earned their spots, and clearly they're one seeds for a reason. It's the best versus the best. It's going to be a good game.
I think no doubt the Patriots are the best team in the AFC, and I think with the healthy Aaron Rodgers, the Packers might be coming out of that game. And hey, maybe even the Cowboys. Tony Romo was having a stellar season this year, but I think the Seahawks truly deserve to be in there.
Now, the Seahawks and the Patriots have a lot of key players. We have Tom Brady, you have Russell Wilson, if you're a Seahawk fan. We have Darrelle Revis, they have Richard Sherman. They have Marshawn Lynch, we have LeGarrette Blount. A lot of similarities back and forth. What are the holes? Do you see what are the weaknesses that you might see in this game?
Yeah, if you were asking me to pick one of the two quarterbacks, I'd take Brady over Russell Wilson.
Sure.
Even at this point in their careers, I just think the experience trumps the athleticism of Russell Wilson. But on those other two categories, I got to admit, I'd probably take Sherman and Lynch over Revis and Blount. So
even over, you'd rather have Sherman than Revis?
He's younger and more athletic.
Okay.
I think Revis is more experienced, and he's a smarter player than. There are pieces of wool that are smarter than Sherman,
Sure,
but I think it's those matchups are particularly tough for the Patriots. It doesn't mean they can't win, but I think those matchups are pretty tough.
I agree for the most part on the Tom Brady, Russell Wilson aspect. for a young guy, Russell Wilson's pretty cool. He's, relaxed. He doesn't really get rattled that much, and, he does well under pressure, and he's shown that because he's beaten pretty much every Super Bowl quarterback in the NFL to date. As far as the Revis Sherman category goes, I'm taking Revis 100%. What a lot of people don't see in Sherman's game is what Seattle really does is they play a lot of one-high safety, cover 3. So Sherman really gets to play off coverage a lot, and he's not really in somebody's face. So for me to take Revis over Sherman, it's kind of a no-brainer because Revis shuts down the entire side of the field while the rest of the defense does something else. It makes them dynamic.
Yeah, I was going to point out, I pointed this out mid-season, but when the Patriots kind of got their act together this season is when they started putting Revis alone on the number 2 and used the safety help over the top for Browner. And that's really what turned around their season. So, I mean, in that sense, I would agree Revis probably is better one-on-one. But you can't deny that Sherman is a dynamic player.
I have to say, in all of the matchup that we have coming up for the Super Bowl, unsung hero, could it be Brandon Browner? Could it really be him? Reason why I'm saying it is because he knows Seattle better than anybody else on the Patriots right now. So putting him into a Super Bowl, because he didn't play last time in the Super Bowl, he was suspended. The stage may be set for him to come out and have an explosive game.
Yeah, you got to like Browner, especially if you like penalties.
Oh, of course.
I'm actually looking at the offensive line of the Patriots versus the defensive line of the Seattle Seahawks. I know they've got some mean guys up front with Cliff Averill, Michael Bennett. They really know how to get after the quarterback. And, the Patriots offensive line, they've seemed to find a home in the past couple weeks. But, they've had a lot of flip-flopping this year. Brian Stork's been hurt. Dan Connolly and such. They've just been swapping positions at center and guards. And, to see them hold as a one unit would definitely be a good thing.
John, you have a really good point with the offensive line. I think that is also a huge factor for them. If they're able to give Tom Brady the protection he needs, it's going to open up a lot more of a play or of a game plan. It's going to enable Brady to be able to throw to his receivers, but most importantly, it's going to give Blunt able to have space to run.
And we've seen actually that the Patriots have been pretty versatile with that offensive line this year, not only in switching things up, which hasn't always been the best thing, but even over the last couple of weeks in the playoffs, the way that they have, changed their game up with the short passing game and the screen game and that kind of thing to kind of supplement for the fact that the offensive line hasn't really been up to snuff. I'm hoping with Stork back in the lineup that will solidify back to the lineup that we saw at the end of the season, into the regular season, and really kind of solidify that offensive line for the Pats.
Are they definitely putting Stork back in?
Everything I heard is that Stork is playing this week. Yeah.
He is playing?
Yeah.
All right,
By the way,
that should be a big factor.
My favorite offensive player at this point.
Stork?
Stork. I love Stork.
Yeah.
I guess to touch upon the Blunt-Marshawn Lynch matchup, which we really didn't talk about that much. I mean, any Pats fan's going to tell you that Blunt has a shot to be an impact guy in this game, and I do think that that's true. But at the end of the day, I mean, the offense of Seattle runs through Marshawn Lynch. If we stop him and, or he gets going, the whole game and the atmosphere changes. So do I think Blunt has to be a factor in this game? Yes. Do I think that he's as a big a factor as Marshawn Lynch? Absolutely not.
Yeah, and I think, as you said, the whole Seattle offense kind of runs through Marshawn Lynch. One of the things the Patriots have always preached on defense is take one thing away from the other team. If they can stop Marshawn Lynch, this is going to be a great day for the Patriots.
Well, think about that Green Bay game that led up to where, obviously, Seattle's supposed to be. Where was the offense for Seattle that whole game?
Yeah.
There was nowhere until Lynch showed up and played.
Yeah, well, Green Bay stopped Lynch in the first half in that game, and that was a big part of how competitive the game really was.
And the scariest thing for Seattle is the fact that Marshawn Lynch is probably not going to come back to them this year, after this year. So, they're going to have to figure out a way to play without him. That Russell Wilson's got to become less of a game manager and more of an elite quarterback. He's already elite, but, he isn't as elite as some of the other. No, I mean, he's really.
I've got a whole.
Really, I think so.
We have a debate present then. Why not elite?
Well, I'm actually going to defend John to a certain extent. I am one of the few people in the place of New England that actually kind of respects what Russell Wilson does. I mean, yes, he does have a running back that does put the offense on his back from time to time. But, he's gone through so many tough and strenuous situations, and he's actually pulled it through for them. And I mean, let's not forget that he's still the guy that threw the overtime touchdown to win the game, and he checked out of the actual play they had to make that call. I mean, he is a game manager in an aspect, but in another aspect, he's a football player. He knows how to win, and in my book, you win a Super Bowl and you're a consistent winner, you're up there. I don't think he's as elite as people might think. I do think he's top 10 right now. I just don't know where I'd put him.
I would agree with top 10. I would never say elite.
Okay.
And this partially goes to my definition of elite. Okay, elite means the best of the best, the cream of the crop. Okay, what percentage of the league can be elite? I say 10% plus one. There are 30 teams. That means there can be 4 elite quarterbacks in the league. There happen to be 4 quarterbacks in the league right now that have both been an MVP and have been Super Bowl winners. That's Drew Brees, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, and Aaron Rodgers. To me, those are your elites, though Brees didn't look that good this year, but to me, those are your elites. And until you knock one of those guys off, they're the elite. Because
so that's your Mount Rushmore of quarterbacks.
That's my Mount Rushmore in the league currently.
Last year with Russell Wilson beating Peyton Manning the way they did as well.
Yeah. But he's never won an MVP. See, to me, there's a difference between elite and best right now. Okay, or best today, or something like that. Elite is something that happens because of career accomplishments, including being good right now. And that's why I'm questioning Drew Brees, to be honest with you. He didn't look that great this year.
No, he had a bad year.
He had a bad year, and I would possibly knock him off that list next year if he has another bad year. I don't know who I'd put on it at this point. You got 3 other Super Bowl winning quarterbacks in the league at this point, in Eli Manning, who is in no way elite, Ben Roethlisberger.
Maybe.
Possibly.
Time to
time. And then you've got Russell Wilson. If Russell Wilson wins a second one this year, I think he's got to be in the conversation.
All of the quarterbacks that we mentioned, it's about consistency. And the ones that you mentioned with the MVP, they have the track record for most consistency.
And that's why I'm very careful with that word elite. It's the track record, the consistency, and maybe next year Russell Wilson will win an MVP also, and maybe he'll be in that list. But to me, I've heard 12 to 15 quarterbacks in the NFL called elite. Well, you can't call them elite. If there's 30 starting quarterbacks, you can't call 15 of them elite. You've got to define it somewhere, and I've always defined it at 4. The best 4 or the top 4.
Yep. Or the most that get the fantasy points each week. I mean, that's another way you can look at it, too.
Don't even get me started on that. The way fantasy has completely
because
ruined
that's
the
the
game.
most inconsistent thing that there is on earth, I think. For
quarterbacks who are great at fantasy aren't necessarily the ones who are great quarterbacks. And look at your 2 Super Bowl quarterbacks. They're average fantasy quarterbacks at best, but there's something about them that causes them to win games, apart from just statistics. If it was statistics, it'd be Andrew Luck and Peyton Manning.
Sure.
But
there's other things in statistics, basically, is what we're trying to say. But one thing that we do know is, obviously, when we do live in New England, obviously a lot of other places hate the Patriots a lot. So the consensus probably around the United States is people want Seattle to win. Most likely, I'm saying.
Outside of New England, everybody wants Seattle to win.
But the one thing that they cannot take away from anything the Patriots have is this is going to be the 6th Super Bowl that Tom Brady is going to be in. And I definitely think it's probably the best point right now to talk about Tom's legacy. What happens if he does end up winning this next Super Bowl? Does he become the greatest quarterback that's ever played in football? Oh, somebody, I see the hand right there. I see it.
If Tom Brady wins,
Russell Wilson.
if Tom Brady wins his 4th Super Bowl, I will say it now, he is the GOAT. I think he's already at that point where, he's already been talked with Joe Montana. He's broken every playoff record there is for passing. I mean, at what point do you actually stop getting on the guy's case for other things that have happened in the past? Sure, we've been on a long drought, but it's not as if we've had a drop-off in games. And I think a 4th just solidifies the fact that this guy is the greatest quarterback that we've ever watched play the game. Ever. No doubt.
Point. Next.
Do you understand that?
Yes. I'm 100% agree with Joe. He's the most winningest quarterback ever. He's got the best win percentage possible over, 100 games or something like that. And, that's already proven as a winner. And then to add 4 Super Bowls, which is the highest honor you could have in the NFL besides an MVP, I can't see anybody competing with that. She's the amount of records, the way he's won games too. He's found ways to win games in every single fashion. It's been deep passes, game-winning drives, game managing the clock at the end, miraculous comebacks. He's proven himself over and over and over again. And this Super Bowl will just solidify it if they win.
With a fourth Super Bowl win, Brady would tie two other quarterbacks with 4 Super Bowl wins, Terry Bradshaw and Joe Montana. I don't think anyone argues that Terry Bradshaw is one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, so we'll put that one on the shelf. It really comes down to Brady and Montana. The difference between Brady and Montana would be the 2 years that Brady went to the Super Bowl and lost it, which would be 2 more times to the Super Bowl than Montana did. Brady also has more playoff wins than like 20 franchises or something like that. I mean, that's pretty amazing. So I would say between Brady and Montana, it would be, and it really, comes down to.
They should be in the same sentence?
They would be in the same sentence.
Still?
They would be in the same sentence,
But what about Peyton? I'm just doing as
the problem with Peyton is the Super Bowls. Peyton has been a great regular season quarterback. Nobody can deny that. 1 Super Bowl win, 2 Super Bowl appearances. That's it. And when you compare him
Can
to,
this officially put it to bed, though?
The thing is you have to compare him to his contemporary, which is Brady.
Yep.
You compare. We were talking about this earlier. You compare Bradshaw to Staubach. And you compare Montana to whoever you want in the Jim Kelly or something like that. You compare Manning to Brady. One of them is going to have 3 or 4 Super Bowl wins. The other is going to have 1. One's going to have 6 Super Bowl appearances minimum. The other one's only going to have 2. There's no comparison there.
The thing that I will always look at for Manning is 11 and 13 in his career when it matters.
Yeah.
How can anybody, even for a second, want to debate Peyton Manning versus Tom Brady? It just gets it's aggravating.
Yeah, it's aggravating, and I think it comes about because people genuinely don't like the Patriots.
100%.
They're the Yankees of football. Nobody likes the Yankees, nobody likes the Patriots, and we just happen to be fortunate enough to be able to follow the Yankees of football.
True. We just talked about Brady. We know about his legacy and everything, but there's another person that needs the same talk, and I'm sure you know where I'm going on this. This is Belichick. Okay.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Bob Kraft.
No, we can talk about that in a second.
Since Robert Kraft bought the team, the Patriots back in '94, they had the most wins in the NFL in that time period, the most playoff appearances, the most playoff wins, the most Super Bowl appearances, the most Super Bowl wins, the most championship game appearances, the most championship game wins. I mean, it's unbelievable. Sorry, go ahead. Since Kraft bought the team.
What a coincidence, though, win this Super Bowl that we have Pete Carroll. He was the last coach before Belichick, and now Belichick. They're facing off against each other in this Super Bowl. Almost like when it was Bill Parcells and Pete Carroll. Was that 97?
Yeah.
Back when it was Green Bay and Patriots, right?
Green Bay and Patriots.
Yeah, right about then.
Carroll. That was it was Parcells and Mike Holmgren.
Oh, that's when it was. That's right. The legacy, though, of this coach. We know many people dislike him very much. He's very quick and short with the media. He doesn't like to tell everybody the whole story. He doesn't like to do much of anything. But the man knows one thing to do, and that's to coach. So where is his spot in all of this in NFL history? Want to start with it, John?
Yeah, sure.
I think he's the greatest. Just like Brady, I think he's the greatest. I may be a little biased because I'm a Pats fan, but I think his statistics back it up. I mean, the most winningest coach, one of them, right? Or is he the most winning? Postseason. There you go. But, he did. And, Belichick just seems to have found the formula to win, no matter his team, no matter if it's a bad offensive line, bad receiving core, or just any holes in the offense and defense. He finds a way to win and win and win and get to the championships and win again.
I mean, I don't know where else to say with these two Patriots people than.
I'll ask you this question then. The Patriots have their legacy. Think about their legacy as a whole. Is Belichick's legacy because the Spygate and everything affected because of this?
I mean, look, any New England fan's going to tell you that, people are too consistent on, poking at the Spygate conflict and now Deflategate. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. I mean, he pointed out the guy's putting his signals out there in front of 80,000 people in the stands. They weren't the only ones doing it. I'm not saying that's okay that they got caught. They got caught, they took their punishment, and they've still won, and he's still coached. And, you can't knock him for being as good as he's been. And it's not as if he needs to cheat to do what he's doing. He's a great mind, and I think to touch on the Pete Carroll, Bill Belichick matchup, I don't think it's as much of a mind game as people think it's going to be. It's not. Pete Carroll, to me, is more of a recruiter as a coach. He's more of he can find players to help him win, but I think it's more to his offensive coordinator and defense coordinator who don't get as much credit as they should. I think with Bill Belichick, he's a real schemer, and he really knows how to work the game and make play calls and adjustments.
Yeah, I think Belichick's legacy outside of New England is always going to be marked by the two scandals.
Sure.
The season that I look at to determine Belichick's greatness, if you will, is the one when when Brady went down in the first game, and with Matt Castle, who could barely throw the ball the length of this fine facility here. Yep. They still won 11 games. Granted, they didn't make the playoffs, but they won 11 games without. He won 11 games without Brady that season. That was the most masterful coaching job I've seen a coach do, and so I think that's what I look at when I determine his greatness. As far as his legacy, I think it really, outside of New England, I think it is marred.
Yep. Well, you made a great point with the Castle. Ever since he's left New England, he's just not the same quarterback. So you put him into a system which is under Belichick and under the Patriots' philosophy and everything, you're going to succeed. And I think even if Tom Brady weren't here, I think there'd be still a winning environment established at Gillette Stadium. Now, it's very important that we also have this little pool here. I'm not talking about a swimming pool. I'm talking about, we want to know what your scores are going to be. So as a panel here, we're going to decide upon what we feel our score is going to be. All right, we're going to go down the line, and we're going to think about predictions and make it all happen. So, John, I want to start with you. What do you think this score is going to be?
27-10 Patriots.
27.
I do. Do I explain why, or? Yeah, well, I think, like I said previously, the offensive line, I think everyone underestimates them. I think everyone overestimates the Seattle defense. And I think we're going to be able to run all over them and actually open up our offense and just pick apart the seams. And Brady's going to have a field day. And I think it's just going to be a blowout, and our defense is going to come ready to play and figure out how to stop their offense that no one else seems to be able to stop.
Are we going to do keys to the game as well if you want me to touch on that? All right. Okay, so with everything that's been going on, I think a key phrase that's been going around is they hate us because they ain't us. And the Seahawks aren't the New England Patriots, and that's the problem for them on Sunday. I think it's going to be close to John. I think 30-13 New England. I think a 17-point game actually isn't going to truly show how well the Patriots play and blow them out. I think one can only win if you run the football. If you don't run the football on Sunday, you're going to have problems with Seattle. If you're forced to throw it every down, like we did against Baltimore in the second half, you're going to see some problems. So, one, you have to run the ball. Two, you need to keep them in a one-high shell all game long. Because if they get to bring down another safety or they back one up into a two-shell, we're going to see some trouble, and we're not going to be able to dink and dunk as much as we want. 5 yards, hit him with a big hit. And lastly, I think it's going to come down to Brady and how much he's got left in the tank, and I think he's got just enough left to make this a big win.
He has a cold right now.
Hey, eating garlic.
The sniffles. The guy's got the healthiest body in the NFL, running for like the last 10 years. I got Brady.
What's your score again?
30-13.
Okay, keys to the game. I think the Patriots have to contain Marshawn Lynch. That's number one. If they can contain Lynch the way that Green Bay did, I think we're going to have a very happy day. I said that before. I think the other key to the game really is a guy who we haven't talked about, and you didn't list on your key players list, which shocks me to no end, is Rob Gronkowski. Can the Seahawks deal with Gronkowski? Do they have to double him? I noticed that Indianapolis put a DB on him instead of playing linebackers on him, and that slowed him down a little. But that's another key: is can Seattle stop Gronkowski, and can Gronkowski hold him to the ball? It's had kind of a dropping issue over the last couple of games. So those are kind of the keys to the game for me. I do think the Patriots defense is able to match the challenge of the Seahawks offense. My score is significantly lower and closer than yours, though. I'm going to say 21-17 Patriots.
I just wrote on the board that everybody is predicting the Pats. I'm predicting the Pats as well. I don't think there's any question, any doubt. I am more confident with this upcoming game than I was with the Giants. 2 Super Bowls from a while ago. I think they are at the maddest point right now. I think they've reached a boiling point with what they've had to deal with in the past 2 weeks with everything. And I think they have plenty of bulletin board material. I think that, like you said with Gronk, the reason why I didn't put Gronk on the sheet, I do think he's a factor. But I do know that Seattle has always defended tight ends pretty significantly good this season. So that's why I didn't really put him as my X factor.
Except that Gronk is a offensive lineman and a tight end and an offensive lineman.
Oh, exactly. I mean, he's a freak of nature. We know that. My key to the game is Tom Brady. I feel if Tom is in control, if he's able to get, obviously, a good hold from his offensive line, it's going to create plays for Edelman. It's going to create plays for Amendola. And it's going to increase the plays where you can give it to Blunt or you can hand it off to LaFell or different things there. I think Tom Brady is the big X factor in all this. And I'm surprised I'm saying that, but because he's such a superstar and everything, but I think it's him.
All right.
I think it's him on there. So, just so we know for our fans at home, our predictions, we have John with 27-10 Patriots. Joe picked 30-13 Pats. Kevin has 21-17 Pats. And my score, because I didn't give it yet, 28-14 Pats. I'm going with all touchdowns for the most part right there. I don't think this is going to really be a factor of kicking game. I don't. I think the extra points will be made. I think this is going to, for the most part, be go in and score kind of game. If you can find a hole, you're in there. Final thoughts on the game. I'm going to start with John.
I think it's going to be a hard-fought game. It's not going to be a bore like last year where the blowout from the start. I'm hoping for competition all the way through. Pat's just edging it out. I know I said 27-10. And I feel like it's going to seem like a closer game than it actually is because of how hard the Seattle Seahawks play and how much both the teams want to win.
I think one thing that was, kind of left out because it wasn't really significant to talk about, but I think from last year's Super Bowl, what kind of sticks out to me is when Julius Thomas was going across the middle at one point, and Cam Chancellor laid a pretty good stick on him, and I think from there on, the game kind of changed for Seattle, and I think with Browner now and our physical presence on defense, I think if we're able to punch Seattle in the mouth quick and catch them on their toes, I think this game could get ugly quick in our direction. And otherwise, I also think Browner's got a lot to prove. So I think the defense is going to be as ready as ever. So it's going to be a good one.
God forbid the Patriots go down big early. But they've proven they can come back from something like that. So even if Seattle gets their 10 points there, John, in the first quarter, don't count the Patriots out because the Patriots have come back from big deficits already in this season. I do think, though I said 21, it could possibly come down to the kicking game. And I'm looking for, my call is there's going to be 2 missed field goals in this game. 2 missed field goals. Put that one down.
Even from an inside place.
Even in a dome, 2 missed field goals because they're going to need to go for something, and they're going to have to kick a 53 or 54 or 55 yarder to try to make some points on the board, and there's going to be at least 2 missed field goals in this game. So there we go.
We know that we've made some bold predictions here, but it all comes down to the big game on Sunday. For the final time, I just want to say we want to thank the people of Fit Revolution. They're a local business here in North Reading that does all kinds of fit classes and ways of staying healthy, and we work here with the kids through Sports Zone 101. And again, we want to thank them for allowing us to be here tonight on location. Patriots are on location. We know about that in Arizona. We hope we see you again soon, whether it be on location or back in the North Reading studio, as we usually are. I hope you enjoy the game on Sunday, and thank you for watching Face the Facts. I'm Nick Face. Good night.